Hey, Tarek here with Build on Truth Ministries. God bless you. So today I'm continuing a series that I started, which was on Psalm chapter 23, verses 1 to 6. Today we're looking at verse 4, which says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." So we know that King David is no stranger to the shadow of death. He was on the run from King Saul's quest to murder him. But through it all, David kept his faith in Yahweh. And that's the important part for each and every one of us, right? Like we understand that in the book of 1 John, it says what overcomes the world, it is our faith. So David was also obeying Yahweh and entrusting his life to God's grace. He then makes that bold, faithful statement, which is, "I will fear no evil," as we see in verse 4. So how can he be so sure of this when so many things were against him? So let's do a quick recap of verses 1, 2, and 3. So the main points that we pulled out of these three verses, and then we can go back and see how a believer can be so confident to make this bold statement. So in verse 1, we saw that David is completely focused on Yahweh. David understood that Yahweh fills all his needs, but yet we understand that the Psalms are also to be taken personally and that God fills our needs as well. As we get to know what type of God he is and we experience him, we will know and we will also be able to proclaim with David all of these truths that he is proclaiming through the Holy Spirit by his experience as well. So anytime I speak about David or a specific verse, just know that this can also apply to your life as well. So verse 2, so 23 verse 2, David allowed this focus on Yahweh to be the means to enter God's peace and rest. So we know when we're going through anything in our lives, whatever troubles it is, if we focus on these troubles, of course, we're going to be restless. The only person that we can truly turn to is God and keep our focus on him. And like I've said many times before, whatever we focus on always gets bigger. Verse number 3, the peace or the rest that David received from Yahweh, who is the Prince of Peace, that peace renewed his strength to continue walking the righteous path. At its foundation, the change of focus from self to God, that's what faith is. And we know in Hebrews 11:6, it says this, "But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him." So the answer to David's confidence and his bold statement is simple. He knew his God personally. He knew his God's power because he knew his God's presence. Let us remember in this daily walk of faith, because if we're Christians, it wasn't a one-time faith about what Jesus did on the cross. We have our new life and it is an everyday living faith. Remember this faith that God's promise says that we have not been given a spirit of fear, but the spirit that he's given us is a spirit of love and of power and of a sound mind. So like David, keep your focus on God's grace daily. Everything from the cross began with grace and it will end in grace, but every day you are in his grace. So walk by grace, and you'll see many times even the Apostle Paul in the New Testament will always point to it is God's grace that is working through him. And that grace can work through you as well. Just focus on who Jesus is, what he has done for you, and remember that everything is by grace. And you can allow grace to work through you as long as you stop focusing on yourself and focus on God, focus on his power in your life, focus on his promises, and surrender. All right, so I'm going to try to get verse 5 done probably within the next week or two. It's been a very slow process. There's just so many things going on, but yet at the same time, I definitely want to finish up to verse 6. So since it's been so long, you can go back on in my videos and you're going to see I entitled everything verse 1, 2, 3, and today verse 4. God bless you.